In the vast universe of video games, few titles have challenged our understanding of narrative quite like The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. This isn't just another adventure game. This is a profound psychological journey that transforms a simple fantasy into a complex meditation on grief, time, and the human condition. Imagine a world where time is a prison, where every moment is borrowed, where catastrophic doom is a mere 3 days away. Welcome to Termina, a realm that exists in the liminal space between life and death. Welcome to the Zelda archives, where today we're unmasking the chilling secrets of Majora's Mask. Buckle up, because the truth is darker than you ever imagined. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, because you won't want to miss what's coming next. A radical departure. Majora's Mask is not just another Zelda game, it's a daring act of narrative subversion. Following the success of Ocarina of Time, Nintendo took a bold risk with a darker, more experimental sequel that explores themes of time, loss, and existential dread. Instead of a heroic quest, players confront the inevitability of death and the cycles of life. Majora's Mask challenged players to face not just a villain, but the cruel passage of time itself, transforming video games into a space for deeper reflection on the nature of existence. The deeper narrative of Majora's Mask lies in its subversion of familiar Zelda tropes. While previous titles emphasized clear-cut heroism, this game explores ambiguity, emotional complexity, and the stark reality of mortality. Its primary theme isn't about conquest or adventure. It's about the inevitability of death and the helplessness of living in the shadow of time. Identity and Metamorphosis. Each mask in the game represents more than a gameplay mechanic. It's a metaphor for lost identities, traumatic transformations, and the fluid nature of self. The animation of Link putting on masks, the visible pain, the spiritual negotiation, suggests a deeper process. These aren't just costume changes. They're spiritual negotiations, moments of profound personal sacrifice and understanding. Each mask represents a shift in Link's very identity, a willingness to sacrifice part of himself to navigate the world of Termina. At the heart of Majora's Mask is the Skull Kid, a being marked by deep isolation and a longing for connection. His tragic bond with Majora, however, reveals the true horror. Majora isn't just a mask, but a malevolent entity that uses Skull Kid as a puppet. Majora manipulates the Skull Kid, turning him into an agent of chaos. This dynamic isn't just about villains and victims. It's a metaphor for childhood trauma, the ways manipulation can consume the vulnerable and the dark consequences of trauma. This theme of manipulation is echoed by the happy mask salesman, who deceptively presents himself as harmless, but hides a more unsettling role. He offers Link the task of retrieving the stolen mask, but his cryptic behavior suggests he, too, understands the power of masks and the psychological weight they carry. The happy mask salesman's deal with Link parallels Skull Kid's own tragic transformation. Both characters are drawn into a psychological bargain with dark forces, where masks become symbols of identity manipulation. Just as Skull Kid is consumed by Majora, Link, too, faces the psychological toll of taking on new identities and bargaining with forces beyond his control. In Majora's Mask, masks are not just objects. They are symbols of shifting identities and the price of dealing with dark, manipulative forces. Both Skull Kid and Link's stories reflect the game's exploration of trauma, control, and the complex cost of transformation. Psychological landscapes. Time in Majora's Mask isn't linear, it's a psychological construct. The 3-day cycle compresses the emotional weight of Termina into a ticking clock, making every action carry the pressure of time slipping away. This cyclical system forces players to experience time not just as a mechanic, but as an oppressive force, constantly reminding them of the inevitable doom that looms closer with each passing cycle. Link's ability to reset time through the Song of Time adds a layer of tension. While it gives the player a chance to try again, it doesn't erase the emotional burden of failure. The townspeople continue their routines, oblivious to their impending fate, amplifying Link's isolation and frustration. Each reset becomes a reminder of the limited impact Link has. Time keeps moving forward, even if he can't save everyone. Unlike traditional save-the-world narratives, Majora's Mask explores the psychological toll of living in a world on the brink of destruction. The NPC's lack of awareness heightens Link's isolation, making time feel like a prison. The constant passage of time in the game evokes feelings of helplessness, frustration, and existential dread, while also encouraging moments of reflection on the fleeting nature of life. This delicate balance between hopelessness and action becomes the emotional core of the game, urging players to confront the passage of time and their own agency in a world caught in an unbreakable loop. Link isn't just a hero in this narrative. He's a vessel of collective trauma, a conduit for healing, a being who carries the emotional burdens of an entire world. He might be the only real character in Termina, a consciousness moving through a realm of spiritual negotiation, gathering karma, seeking a form of enlightenment beyond traditional heroism. The stages of grief. The genius of Majora's Mask lies in its raw, unflinching exploration of human emotion. This isn't just a metaphorical journey, it's a literal descent through the 5 stages of grief. Clocktown becomes a metaphor for collective denial. People continue their daily routines, oblivious to the moon's impending destruction. Each character is trapped in a moment before total annihilation, unable or unwilling to accept the inevitable. Link's ability to reset time becomes the ultimate manifestation of denial, a desperate attempt to change the unchangeable. Rage pulses through every pixel of this world. The Skull Kid embodies this anger, a being of profound isolation, manipulated and ultimately discarded. His transformation represents the destructive power of unprocessed emotion. The environmental hostility isn't just a game mechanic, it's an emotional state made visible. Time manipulation becomes a metaphorical bargaining chip, a futile attempt to control the uncontrollable. Look at Kafei's quest. No matter your actions, some suffering remains inevitable. If you fail this quest, Kafei becomes trapped in a room forever, whether you stop the moon or not. A pervasive melancholy hangs over Termina. The impending doom isn't just a narrative device, it's a psychological state. Muted color palettes and haunting melodies communicate a profound sense of loss. Every character carries an invisible weight, a collective trauma that transcends individual stories. Acceptance comes not through victory, but through understanding. Link doesn't just save the world, he transforms through empathy, carrying the burdens of others. Each mask represents a lost identity, and a spirit healed through compassion. Game Informer made a point to ask Eiji Aonuma about the 5 stages of death theory in a 2015 interview promoting the release of Majora's Mask 3D, to which Aonuma responded, "It's certainly true that each one of these different episodes you talked about has a different emotional cast to it. One feels like it's tinged with sadness, and another with anger. That certainly was intentional." But I also want to point out that it's not that each one of these episodes only has the one emotion that they are conveying. There are certainly other notes that we're trying to hit as well, and the reason we did this is always to allow the player to experience that emotion, to give them a chance to hook into the emotional tone of this scene and react to it, and feel like they want to accomplish something in the game as a result. Unuma doesn't technically deny the 5 stages of grief theory outright, but he does seem to imply that it wasn't the developer's sole intention. It may simply be that the 5 stages of grief center around strong human emotions, which the Zelda team also inadvertently tapped into. Majora's Mask is more than just a game. It's a deep exploration of grief, time, and transformation. Through its cyclical time mechanics and masks representing loss, it asks us to confront life's inevitable truths. This isn't about saving the world. It's about accepting what cannot be changed. The moon's descent symbolizes life's fragility. Majora's Mask becomes an allegory for grief and acceptance, with Link's journey reflecting the stages of grief, not through defeating an enemy, but through helping others heal in a world stuck in a cycle of loss. The Happy Mask Salesman represents the human desire to hide pain behind masks. His role echoes Link's own journey, revealing that true transformation comes from facing the past, not running from it. In the end, Majora's Mask teaches us a difficult, yet deeply meaningful lesson. Life is fragile, and time is fleeting. But our ability to confront our emotions, to heal through connection, and to accept the inevitable can lead to moments of profound transformation. Just as Link is reborn at the end of his journey, so too are we reminded that every end carries the potential for a new beginning. The most significant journeys aren't always about saving the day, but about learning how to let go and finding peace in the process. Ultimately, Majora's Mask isn't just a game. It's an experience that resonates with those who dare to face the darkness within and around them, accepting that the only way to move forward is to embrace the transient, ever-changing nature of life itself. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the darker side of Zelda, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more Zelda content, including lore videos, theories, secrets, and much more.